No, we're not. It's like, don't lie. You're the professional. I'm not the professional. Your excellence is amazing, but you can only go so far as to help me out. It's just truth.
That's true.
Yeah. I'm not, I mean, like, I could talk to everybody ever, but tell me to get in front of a camera. I'm like, I can do camera, but like prepping for it,
it's
like
a lot.
Sitting for it,
Yeah.
Lighting for it.
It's a lot of extra labor on my part to get this guy ready. And myself ready. But you don't have a lifetime of experience with this. I do
not. You're a child actor. You love production. You also are just a very well put together person and human. So that's really great. And yeah, there's that general thing.
If you hear that sound, that's our cat trying to sneeze.
He's blind, so he can do whatever he wants. That's how that allergies. Works. A blind cat has carte blanche to do anything, as far as I'm concerned.
And we've been traveling across state lines, and there's a lot of pollen back here in Georgia.
Yeah.
So he's on the struggle bus along with us.
Well, you and the cat together.
With the allergies.
I'm doing okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad we covered that.
My eyes are itchy.
And please help me with this timing, because now our timing's off. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So this is the live stream of our DC radio recording. So we don't have to live stream this, but we thought it'd be fun to connect with you all.
Mm-hmm.
And after our live streaming, I download it and then edit the crap out of it to make it sound better.
This sounds excellent. I don't know what you're talking about. You're so
It's mostly
judgy.
Around the time, because I have to cut it down to 30 minutes.
True.
And that takes a lot of work.
So
because everything we say is so useful.
Sure. But also, like, yeah, so let's get into it. Let's get started.
So we'll get started now.
Yeah.
Welcome to DC Radio. You are listening to Wit and Reason with
Alex
and Dr. Alexis. And today we are talking about
supporting your people. So how to show up for their careers and goals, everything.
Big goals.
Big goals.
Yeah, not even the little ones. We're going to go big today, because the people with big goals need extra big love and support.
Yeah, and it's an interesting topic, because like, how do you navigate that space? As a couples therapist, I run into this all the time. As a partner to a brilliant, wonderful, aspirational person, I run into this all the time. So yeah, I think about this a lot. So yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, I think the thing that I think of the most is recently. Yeah. So we're at South by, and she was speaking, and I was supposed to record things. If you watch us at all or had heard our previous episodes, you'll know that my job was to record her doing this. I did a very poor job, because it didn't go any way that was planned, and I got really in my head about it, and I got really like stuck. And what ended up happening was, she goes to look for the videos that I took. I ended up taking only one video. It wasn't good. And I subsequently had immediately this wave of like panic, and had a full-blown panic attack, which is very odd for me. I don't have panic attacks often. It's very, 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 very rare. But it's usually when I'm like really overwhelmed. I usually feel really stuck in some way. And I felt so awful that I did not capture this moment for this amazing human that I love and adore. And I think it all just hit me really quick. So for me, even in supporting somebody and trying, I would say my best, but it wasn't, I was just trying, and then it just.
I'm always assuming that you're trying your best.
There's really so stuck in my head.
There's really like no doubt in my mind that you're not trying, or you're being neglectful or malicious in any kind of way, trying to sabotage my portfolio.
Maybe someone out there will understand what I'm talking about. Like when you think something's going to go according to a certain plan, and then it doesn't go according to that plan at all, and you're supposed to have some specific role, like, just totally blew me away. Wasn't able to do it.
I know.
I failed.
And I saw the footage. It was like 4 minutes of really just me and none of the audience. And it's not what you need when you have to showcase like the work that you do. Yeah. You have to have pictures and videos.
There was nothing
given an example of like, yeah, I could do public speaking. In fact, I did public speaking at South by Southwest. That is a very hard gig to get.
Yeah.
And I worked my ass off to get it. And I needed photos and videos to show it. And I would have hired professional photography, but for that particular event, it was supposed to be more intimate and organic.
Yeah.
And so they only let you use your phones.
Yeah.
You can't have like an external crew there.
Yes.
And I even thought, I even told him, I was like, I have an extra guest ticket. Let's just like bring someone else to do that for us. My dad was even in town. I was like, well, maybe if I could just ask my dad's wife, because I know my dad would do an even worse job.
Fair.
I was like, maybe if I could bring her
Fair.
in and she could do it. So that way you could just help me network.
Yeah.
And not have that extra pressure of capturing this moment. And you said you got it.
And I didn't. I didn't. I failed. But it really kind of, all right, so kind of like going back to these things, it's like hard because I really want to support you. I want to show up for you. I love you, adore you, and I understand what your goals are. And I think it's really hard because sometimes I'm put in positions or spots where I'm like, I'm trying, I'm not comfortable, but I'm going to try. I'm going to show up the best that I can.
Yeah.
And it's always really hard because I never feel like I'm going to do well enough to support you in these things because you have amazing, lofty, wonderful goals. You have big plans. You have a lot of talent to then deliver said plans. So that's always hard.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. And there's something that sticks in my mind. And I learned about her and her theories while I was in grad school. Back when I was like studying for marriage and family therapy, Esther Perel. Mm-hmm. And I really hated her take on love and marriage. Mm-hmm. Because her philosophy is that these days we just expect too much out of our partners. And she wasn't even referencing entrepreneurial couples, yeah. or couples that need to support someone's big aspirations. Yeah. She was just talking about like everyday regular couples, yeah. that like have their own separate jobs and families. And to her, even just expecting your partner to like be your best friend was expecting too much mm-hmm. Out of the relationship. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Yeah. I was like, no, but if I'm going to be married, I'm going to want to like be married to my best friend. And yeah. I knew what kind of goals I had. I'm like, and I'm going to need this person to like be social and help me network at like these types of events. And I wasn't expecting to need a photographer and videographer at all, but that was like an unexpected surprise. And I would need someone who can adapt and try, and be dedicated and motivated to me and in all of the ways possible, and to our relationship in all the ways possible. Yeah. And so I have like a kind of relationship with Esther's philosophy on relationships, to the point where it's like, I agree with some of it and I disagree with a lot of it. But the part that does get me is that it does help me put into perspective that like, if there's like an accident or an error on your part in trying to support me professionally in what I'm trying to do, or even in our working relationship, I'm able to separate the husband. Mm-hmm. You're an amazing partner. And the photographer, the videographer.
The other parts of my humanity. Yeah. All right.
Well, the other asks of you,
yeah.
Or the other tasks that you take on.
Yeah.
You are not a professional photographer or videographer. So I can't have those same expectations and standards of you to accomplish that.
I feel like the bar should be higher than what I presented with this last time.
I was expecting, because normally you do better.
I know. I don't know what happened.
So that was, that was pretty awesome.
I thought I got a lot more.
And I saw you clicking on it. And so I'm there giving my speech, and I see him like not doing what I would expect a photographer and videographer to do, like move and like get crowd shots. But I saw that at the very least you were taking multiple
and I don't know
things.
what happened to those either. I have no idea. No clue.
And so like I'm looking at this footage and I'm
really
trying to just kind of like regulate everything and get the rationale while also knowing like this is my husband and my partner and I know you're dedicated and you try, and whatever happened was just and is,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for other couples out there who do require a lot of their partners especially if you're an entrepreneur, because it takes a lot out of you. You have to wear a lot of hats in order to be successful. Then that's one way to make sure that you're separating the like professional partner and then the like marriage partner. And at the end of the day, you're wonderful at both. And I love you dearly. And there's no amount of bad footage that you get of me that would change that. And so I felt bad. Don't take me up on that.
All the bad footage.
I felt bad that you were having that panic attack.
I looked at it and I went, where did everything go? And I freaked out. Like I felt like, in those nightmares. He was like
outside the car and I was waiting in the car for him. And then he like rushed back in and he just like lowered the seat back and was like trying to like lay down and breathe. And your breath
Nobody needs to hear about it.
No, I mean, just moments before I was hyping up mental health first aid and how I'm like a certified trainer and I'm a freaking doctor. I'm a psychologist. Like I know how to handle panic attacks. And I just wasn't mentally prepared because I was still trying to emotionally regulate like my disappointment and frustration with the circumstances that there was not you, but there was just we didn't get the shots that we needed for the special event. And then I have you who's having a panic attack and I'm like, okay, so now I need to put my stuff on hold so I could.
Well, if you remember what I was saying during that, I was like, it's okay. I'm fine. Just leave me alone. It's cool. You're allowed to be upset. Like, I just need to chill. I didn't mean to bother you.
But your breath was so short. I was just like,
no, it was fine. I mean, like, I knew what was happening. It was fine.
Yeah.
Like, I knew what I was doing to get out of it. It was okay. I just needed time because it had already
I know it's really just a matter of time. And I think
I felt the spike.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I know what this is. And then I just ran back to the truck and took care of that. But yeah.
So these things happen even to the best of us. Please don't kick this table while we're recording video.
My bad.
Thanks. And so when we're talking about supporting your people, it's not just in intimate relationships or marriages, in general. And I think that's the big thing that you and I recognize that we need is that you need a community of support. You can't just rely on one another. It takes a whole team of support that you need. And so think about the people in your life, your siblings, your friends, your aunts, your uncles, your parents, your grandparents, the people in your field or industry, your colleagues, your mentors. I mean, there's so many people involved in our lives that can support us in personal matters. There seems to be like a general experience of not really receiving the support that we need professionally from everybody.
And I think that's because there's that disconnect between home and family and what career looks like and job looks like. And I think there's a large mindset around you just have to like, keep your head up and bootstraps and all that stuff there. And I think there's and ends up that you feel very alienated or isolated as somebody who's taking on career or engaging in something that maybe no one else really gets. Because what was interesting is like when I was working in healthcare, I could talk to my dad about some of the stuff and around mental health. And we talk about healthcare crisis and things like that. And that was actually interesting.
His dad, who's also in healthcare.
So like that was actually interesting because I had support in a different way that was actually really helpful and useful. But when it comes to other things, when it came to my career,
like what other parts?
Right over his head. Like, I mean, the stuff that we do for media, the stuff that we do in around mental health coordination or facilitation.
And even with that said, though, and this, I think a lot of people experience this when trying to talk to their parents or grandparents about like what they actually do at work. And then it just goes over their head. I think that's just a general experience. But even with that said, your dad is like one of our few subscribers.
They show up. Don't get me wrong. Like they show up.
So there's still that support there, even if we have to like explain what our aspirations are and our mission is and what we're trying to accomplish and how we bring mental health into the media space. And
they don't always get what we're doing, but they'll support us in what we do. So I do get that. Which is nice.
And they go above and beyond more than any other family member.
Yes, they have.
I mean, like his dad.
You're wonderful. Love you guys.
He's probably listening right now.
You're brilliant.
subscribes to our podcast. They like the stuff we post on social media.
Yeah.
They leave comments.
They
ask
do.
us how we're doing. They keep track of the
Yeah.
events we're going to and ask us, how are we feeling going into it? Call us after, let us know how
Yep.
it goes,
Yep.
so they still follow what we're doing and what
Yeah.
we're trying to accomplish. And especially for us in the entertainment industry, you're typically doing a lot of different projects at the same time
Yeah.
and pitching a lot, and they're all in different stages, and there's a whole lot of rejections and no's.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to follow, and your parents follow.
They do. Yes,
Yeah.
entirely. And I'm very lucky that way.
And so for those of you out there, even if you don't really understand like what a loved one really does, like I have friends either in like finance or technical things, and I may not necessarily know what they do on the day-to-day because they don't really talk about it. Because I consult in those areas too. So I was like, I'm sure if we talked about it more, I'd know what's going on.
Yeah.
But because they don't really get into it, but then I know like their career goals and development, and know when they have a big interview, or know when there's some big deadline coming up, or big report meeting, and we follow up with those people.
Yeah.
And so some of the challenges that people experience along the way, what would you say are some of the common challenges?
I mean, I would say like
in supporting their loved ones.
For me, like, I mean, I feel like I hear couples a lot that talk about like not understanding why their career or why a particular aspiration is so important. And there's a lot of divide, and they don't get why. So they don't think they're not aligned in that thing. So that's what I think of first.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And for me, I knew this was really important to me, my career aspirations. And so I made it very clear, even early on while dating. And I learned to do that because if I don't, then I find out later that the person's a mismatch.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to me that later on in the game, couples aren't understanding what their partner's career aspirations are about.
Well, because it's not just about the career aspiration, it's like what they have to do that, which then kind of leads to the other thing, which is like I think of like feeling like they're left out of something, like feeling like they can't. I mean, some of them say prioritize, but I'm going to say just left out in general.
Yeah.
Not getting the bigger picture.
Yeah. So. And that's a struggle across the different phases of a relationship.
Yeah.
Where, especially in like entertainment or high pressure seasonal jobs, where it's like, I'm focused on this production, or I'm out on location, or I have these long late hours, and the other person just feels neglected.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's very natural thing that would just require some effort.
Yeah. Communicate, but it requires a lot of communication.
And there is that sacrifice there that the partner takes. Fortunately, I brought you along for the ride. So do you ever feel left out? Do you wish you were more left out?
Sometimes I wish I were left out.
Yeah. For which parts?
The parts like the no's when we get rejections around things that we're doing.
Oh, you don't want to be part of the.
I don't want to hear the no. I don't want to hear the no's.
The rejection.
The no's are terrible. I mean, as a therapist, I would take rejection well.
Yeah. I'm
like, hey, we don't always fit with everybody, and that's okay. I have a particular style, voice, thing.
Yeah.
Some people are not gonna like it. Some people connect. Some people aren't. But we're good at a lot of stuff. And I think it'd be creating of good content or good things or whatever could come.
When we disagree with the no's.
Yeah, with the no's.
Yeah.
So there.
So the feeling left behind, even for family, I see this when kids go off to college.
Yeah.
Either some friends are left behind, families left behind, siblings left behind. So that's a significant milestone in somebody's life, where they may need more support during that life transition, and they may not get it because of that challenge that everyone else is feeling left behind.
Well, with family, I always think of the other thing too.
Which one?
The haters.
Yeah, and then you got the jealousy.
You got the haters. You got the haters. They're just gonna be. Let's just call them haters. So we're gonna call you what you are. Just haters. Haters.
It was telling, even for us, we moved across the country for my internship.
Peanut butter and
So then there's
jets.
also the fear of change as well, you know, like, and then that kind of ties into the being left behind.
Sure.
They're moving on, doing other things, or
it's hard because like when you watch other people succeed, like I was trying to go through thinking of things to like present for the unscripted portion of this today, like some TikToks and things. And one of the ones that I don't think we're going to play this one, but because I want to talk about it a little bit though, it's just like they came from the same place you did, so they are upset and around you not being in the same place they are now.
What?
So if you succeed, if you're doing really well, or you're trying to do something that they've never even comprehended, that makes them question where they're at. And people don't like thinking about the comparison around where you're at.
Yeah, they start thinking about themselves.
And so, and you know, they'll be really supportive when you're not making it. But as soon as you start to then kind of move the needle exponentially, like it becomes kind of more,
Yeah, I see that.
Flippant.
And then another one, which I think we experience more this with each other, is like not knowing how to help.
Yeah.
When Alex was working corporate and things were freaking miserable.
That was rough. Yeah.
That was painful. So painful. I'd like call my nana or talk to my cousins who've been in marriages, and I'm like, or my girlfriends. I'm like, or even my other guy friends who've been in marriages. I'm like, or who have demanding jobs. You know, I've searched in every avenue, and I was like, how do I help Alex through this? Because he is miserable and it's breaking my heart.
Yeah.
You know, and there is a limitation to what we can do for our loved ones when they're struggling with their careers and their big goals.
That's very fair. I think, I mean, and I think you try the best you could at any given time. I don't think that was, I mean, part of it is like there was burnout. Burnout is a whole separate thing, and burnout is levels of exhaustion, which you can't really replenish.
We talked about that in a past episode. Go look it up.
So go look it up. But I think the other thing is that like, it's also like you couldn't change what work looked like at the moment anyway. Like, I mean, there's nothing you could do about it. Plus, then we hit a pandemic, and my 50 to 60 hour work week became an 80-hour work week while I was trying to support all these clinicians moving home. So like how your therapist moved from like an office to a home, to their home. Yeah, that was a lot. So,
and I know that you've said that you struggle to figure out how to help me.
Yeah.
Pursuing hosting gigs.
Yeah.
being the actual credentialed doctor, media host.
You mean the only qualified person?
Unlike,
how many people are qualified people out there?
Unlike the clowns out there representing psychology and mental health.
Psychology.
And making us all look bad.
They do.
But and what's weird when I hear you say that is that like you go above and beyond in supporting me. So I know you want to do more. So for everyone else, we're going to go into like talking about really practical things that you can do to support your loved ones and their careers and their big goals. Of course, always asking them. One way.
Like validation is the biggest thing ever.
We'll get into it, but before we do, we have some people who've expressed their challenges, frustrations, maybe even some tips on what works for them in regards to how to get support, especially when they're in careers that's like confusing for them or their loved ones.
So
where'd you put it?
They're right here. But I think we need to do it as a different page. It's got to be a page.
Well, that won't work because you made it a window. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and pause here. I'm saying that for when I'm editing. And I don't think
Google Drive. Add it to the Google Drive.
That's going to take way too long because it has to upload.
It's already downloaded.
Okay, so in the real thing, I will add that in later.
Cool. So, do you want to play it for our own commentary?
I suppose so. So thank you if you're joining us live. We're going to cut this part out.
I'll figure this part out one day.
No, you won't.
But yeah, that's why I don't look to, when I'm looking for support, I don't look for or look towards people I've known, friends or family. I just don't look for them. Supporters are going to be the one to support you more than anybody else will. Strangers will be there for you, dog. And they will love you. They will follow you. They'll buy your membership. They'll buy your t-shirts. They'll literally invest their money in you. You do not need your family. You do not need your friends that you grew. You don't need them for your content, for your vision, to be your customer. You starting a food.
Yep.
So what this creator was talking about was kind of radically accepting that your friends and family might not support you and your business or what you're trying to pursue in the way that you need them to.
Yep.
Buying your whatever you're selling, watching what you create, engaging with it online. I'm not ready for that. Maybe that's why I'm struggling so much. I'm not ready to radically accept that I don't get that support from the people who say that they love me and care about me and what I value and what my dreams are.
Well, and I think the hard part is, again, they think of it as work. So then they don't show up to your work site to help you in that work usually. And so then I think this is something in which they don't necessarily think of the same way. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really hard. I think, one of the things I think about is my brother, and my brother was a musician, is a musician, ridiculously talented. He doesn't play music much anymore. Yeah. But they had to show up for every single thing. They showed up for every one of his things.
So your parents?
My parents.
Yeah.
And so I almost feel like this is an extension of that. They got really good at that. Yeah. So then they downloaded stuff, they do stuff, they engage in stuff, and it's great. So that's what I think of.
And so really take a look at what your side note. We just both got alerts from our nerdy friends. We're very excited about the what the fuck is this? The JFK assassination documents have just been released. Don't leave our live to go look at them. We will cover them later. Breaking news. 50 minutes ago.
All right. Excellent.
We're gonna be wrapping up here though.
Yeah.
Because I am very tired.
All right. Do you want to do this other one or not?
We're going to play this other one, everyone, just for our editing purposes. You're not going to be able to hear
it. All you need is one person in your life who says, "You got this, I believe in you." And you will find courage and energy to do things that you would not have had before. But more importantly, that person needs to also say, "And if everything goes wrong, I will be there for you, and I will be there with you."
There we go. I like that.
That is crucial.
So when you have big dreams, you also can fail big, which means that you be supportive of people on the way up. And if they don't achieve those dreams too, be supportive of them then.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the thing. It's hard. It's a hard process. So when you have big aspirations or goals, it's hard to see somebody kind of toil away at something and not give back to them the way that they deserve.
Yeah. And for the person toiling away, it's very lonely. It's very depressing. It's very anxiety provoking. It's very vulnerable and scary and risky. And all of the what ifs cross your mind, and all of the I want to give up now happens multiple times throughout the process.
Yeah.
So know that it takes an emotional toll on the person, and continue to be their cheerleader.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing, right? They balance out the cheerleading versus the empathy,
validation. Yes, it's hard,
and yeah. So make sure that you're to kind of level up your abilities. Make sure that you are consistently working on validation. Make sure you follow what they're doing in some way, shape, or form, and be involved in something. Ask about it. Ask about what they're doing.
Yeah, what they're working on.
They're afraid to tell you a lot of the time, so just ask.
Yeah,
because every no that you get, every small yes, every possibility feels so tenuous.
And especially in entertainment, because we're pitching and trying to pursue a lot of different opportunities, we tend to be, and this isn't just in front of the camera as hosts, but even behind the camera as in production or when you're trying to direct a film, we tend to be very quiet and private about the projects we're working on because there are so many, and because the likelihood of any of them actually coming to fruition is very small.
Yeah.
And yet we still have to keep on trying, and we still have to be optimistic and peppy and excited about every single opportunity, and be fit and mentally healthy and ready to go for everything.
And then hurry up and wait.
And you hurry up and you do all the things that they ask you to do, and you participate in the interviews, and you get recorded, and they move you along the line, and then sometimes you're ghosted. And these are really big opportunities, and you share them with your close people, because it could impact them, or they see you doing it.
Yeah.
And along the way, I've learned to just fuck it. I'm going to tell my next extended close circle about what's going on, because it takes a toll on me.
Yeah.
Like, no one knows, like, since I graduated from 2017 all the way until this last year, I started talking more openly about all the behind the scenes work I do in media. No one knows the roller coaster that I and we have been on.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of heartbreak along the way. There's a lot of excitement, and then a lot of disappointment.
Yeah, completely.
And we need more of a support system for that roller coaster, because it takes its toll for sure.
So be slow, be intentional, validate, communicate, reach out, ask questions, make sure that you're there and present, and make sure that you celebrate their wins when they have them, and celebrate
ones, even just getting the interview.
Celebrate the wins when they have them, and also be there for the losses.
Yeah.
And be celebratory in around the losses. Hey, at least you keep on going, chin up. It's okay. We love you, and support them in those moments too.
And recognize that the rejection, especially if they're in the arts or creative industries, the rejection's part of the process.
This could even just being like a CEO of a company. I mean, really, those things are hard. Or a venture capitalist and trying to work on a new company. Like, if you
think about all the failures, everyone.
Or in a startup, how many startups make it? How much pressure are you putting on yourself? What does that look like?
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways, and you are building something. You're building something, even if it's a media career or whatever else. You're building something that is not a fight, and so it's more exhausting. It's more painful. You don't get direct. A fight, you get direct input in around something. Building, you just keep on hoping that it's going to turn out the way you want it to turn out.
Yeah. And fortunately now with social media, unfortunately, we have to engage in it a lot, and it's exhausting. And sometimes it's fun. Most of the time it's not, it's unfulfilling. But fortunately for you all, if you know someone's working on something and then they post about it, like it, click on it, like it, share it, and comment on it, and follow all of their accounts, because that actually does make a big difference and helps with their analytics, which apparently everyone's looking at these days.
Yep. And their LinkedIn, if you need to do that, say hi, chime
in their
in,
LinkedIn, write a referral for them if you have some kind of professional understanding about them or how they work. If it's
for all you therapists out there, make referrals to people that you care about and respect, and those things too, because that doesn't happen either.
I know that's hard to get to, because we're not allowed to ask. So there's a lot to do. Fortunately, ask, validate, empathize, no judgment, support both the highs and the lows of this whole nasty roller coaster that we're
Chocolate's
on.
good too.
Sure. I try not to eat. I can't eat based off of how my career is going.
Fair, but also chocolate's really good.
That is true.
It works for dementors and rejection.
And then if you are someone who's working on things and you need some extra support, we're on the Aura Health app. And there in the link in our bio, you can get access to a guest pass and get access to meditations and dealing with rejection.
Wonderful, brilliant people and their content.
Yeah. And supporting your mental health and wellness. So check that out. And also on the note of
support
and going big, go big or go home. We have been documenting our RVing adventures.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, we're nomadic a lot of the time. We bounce around all over the country. And one of the things we end up doing is talking about places, spaces, cultures, and everything thereof under the sun regarding especially food. Yeah. And in these small hidden places, wonderful spots along the highways and byways. And we get to engage with locals. We get to engage in all these different things. Because community
all over America.
As a psychologist who adores community, as a therapist and social worker who and sociologist who loves these things, it's a lot of fun to talk about food, engaging in what people are talking about.
Culture and stories and these random to us because we're big city folk. But these like random little towns, and it's like, who brings people to these towns? Why are they here? How long have they been here?
And then they make this amazing food,
And
or
then
create
what
amazing
they
experiences.
curate there for their community. There's a lot of really beautiful.
So check out RV Foodies. It's going to be on YouTube.
Yes, and so subscribe.
Subscribe.
We already started posting some shorts, and we have our sizzle reel on there. So go ahead and like that and share that with your networks. And then we're going to be launching our first full video, starting off in Texas next Monday.
And should you end up on RV Foodies, like all of you should, you take a look, give us comments, let us know where we should go next, what we should be doing.
Engage with us. That's a fun
small
part.
Little spot. I will love to find any small hidden place ever. So, and I've been to some of the weirdest corners of America so far, traveling with ladies. So it's fantastic.
The weirdest place he took me to for food was that warehouse in that garage.
It wasn't a warehouse. It was a storage unit.
It was a storage unit, people. Okay.
Storage unit, and it had the best barbecue you've ever had
in South Florida. It was. Yeah. I ate out of a storage unit, and it was delicious.
And it was amazing.
And I lived to share.
To find out where that is and what it is.
I lived to be able to edit the footage and put it together in a YouTube video for you.
So find it on RV Foodies. It's a phenomenal place if you're ever in South Florida.
And then share with us about what your career and aspirations are, your accounts. We'll follow you and we'll reciprocate.
Definitely.
All right.